the model of medicine that holistic counseling and the Vis Dialogue use is that who we truly are, our true nature is unconditionally okay. You're okay. I'm okay. Everybody that I work with is okay. Fundamentally, without any external input, we don't need any degree, any form of education, any amount of money, any relationship. We don't need anything to be okay. We're unconditionally okay. When we begin to believe, and this is where we develop belief systems that are false, that I need this to be okay, whatever this is, I need to be heard, to be listened to have money, to have a beautiful body, whatever it is, we get attached to that idea that without that, I'm not okay. And from there, everything goes downhill. That's where suffering starts from. So the fuel that we ultimately run best on is to know that we are unconditionally okay.
Welcome to Linda's Corner, where we bring more hope, healing, and happiness to the world. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about holistic counseling. I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Moshe Daniel Block. Dr. Moshe is an author, naturopathic doctor, homeopathic master clinician, and the creator of the Vis Dialogue, a breakthrough mind-body healing technique. You can reach Dr. Moshe at his website, drmoshe.com, and I'll include that link in the show notes. Welcome, Dr. Moshe. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
I'm so glad to be here, Linda. Thank you so much.
I'm excited for this conversation. I love to learn from people. And every time that I have a conversation in preparation, I will do some research. I'll find out about, read through your bio, check out your website. And usually by then, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding so that we can have a conversation. But today I find myself at a bit of a disadvantage in that there are a lot of things where I don't have the base knowledge to be able to understand the next level, if that makes sense. So
Sure.
as I checked out your website and I'm learning about this wonderful program that you have to help teach doctors this next step up. And because I don't have that basic underlying, I feel like I'm not understanding everything. So, for example,
Sure.
you have all this education, all of these credentials, and I don't even know what the letters mean. So I looked at that and I thought, he's got a lot of letters after his name. I know it means something. But so, for example, we have that you are ND, and is that
Yes,
naturopathic doctor?
that's correct.
Perfect. So before I go to the next letters, for the lay people who are listening, can you kind of explain what that means?
Yeah, naturopathic doctor is sort of a modern doctor meets ancient and time and tested natural cures, nature cure. So we study the general sciences that conventional medical doctors do, like pathology, differential diagnosis, anatomy, physiology, all that stuff, etc.
Hmm.
And then we learn some of the modalities that are unique to naturopathic medicine and also to other practices. Like, for example, we learn nutrition, we learn counseling, we learn homeopathy, botanical medicine, acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine. And that those are some of the main modalities that we use. Some naturopaths choose to be eclectic and practice lots of different modalities and be general practitioners. And some choose to specialize. And I've chosen to specialize in counseling, and I use homeopathy as an adjunct, as a complement for that medicine, because the two work really beautifully together. When there are certain cases that are stuck with a person's mental emotional field is so laden and traumatized and burdened that they can't navigate through the questions, or they can't think to recognize what their issue is, then homeopathy will complement that very well and bring some light into the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Yeah, so that's a little bit on naturopathic medicine.
I love it. And I love the way that you described it. It almost feels a little bit like a triangle to me, where instead of going just to, I'm going to my doctor because I broke my leg, or there's something that I need a pill for, there's something like that. And we have our counseling side, which typically are quite separate. And then you added a third element, and I love the way you put it as time and tested. Sometimes we
Yes.
talk about those other kinds of things that are not standardized traditional Western medicine as alternative, and I'll put some little air quotes around that. But
Right.
it's time and tested. It's not that it's out there, it's something that has been proven for a long time, things that work.
Yes.
So, what a beautiful
Yes.
triangle. It feels like more holistic, like you're going to be able to help take care of all of me rather than um, just a portion and a section. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay.
That's right. Exactly. That's the true definition of holistic. It's not like if there's a problem with the knee and a problem with the back, and then the person feels depressed and can't sleep. Those are not four disparate problems. They're all part are emanating from the whole. And when I work with people, I'll often find what I call Rome, all paths lead to Rome. So when we have these different problems, those are the outward expressions of central core problem. And not every time, but quite often, there will be one core problem, then that when it resolves, everything will improve in the person because everything is stemming from that one core problem.
Wow. I love that. So, in that all roads lead to Rome, which is
Yes,
another excellent analogy. Now, if
sure.
I can find where in the heck Rome is on the map and be able to address the problems at home, then those other branches are going to be able to take care of themselves naturally because you've
Right.
solved the underlying problem, the source, the root. Wow. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm getting
Exactly.
excited. So I was a little
Awesome.
baffled, and now as things are coming into focus for me, I'm thinking, "Ooh, okay, I like this. I like this." All right, so let's go to some more of those letters that you have. So how about
Sure.
VDP? What is that one?
Yeah, that's a Vis Dialogue practitioner. So when somebody goes through my program, and I certify them. They get VDP, Vis Dialogue Practitioner. And the Vis Dialogue is the name of the psychology meets mind body medicine form of counseling that I train and certify doctors in. And not just doctors, also other practitioners, holistic nurses, acupuncturists, homeopaths, other counselors and psychotherapists, and even massage therapists. You name it, name it.
Wow, I almost wish I had said those letters last because I think that's where really we want most of our conversation today um, to be able to clarify and to be able to understand why this is such a breakthrough method and why
Yeah.
people would like to have that service and why those experts who are ready to take that next level
Yes.
of education are going to say, "Oh, well, that's something I want to add to my practice."
Well,
So
then let's forget about those other letters. Let's go right
let's
into
do
it.
that. Let's
Let's
forget
do
about
it.
the other letters. We'll just say, and he has more qualifications in addition to what we've covered so far,
I'm
which is
comfortable with
fantastic.
that.
All right. Okay. So teach me, where did this come from? Is this something that came from you? Are you the author and creator of this?
Um, to a certain extent, yes, and also no. So in its origins, I learned a dialogue from Barry Neil Kaufman at the Options Institute and in Massachusetts, and I learned it's called the Optiva dialogue. I learned that in 1995. And since then, after actually 30 years of practice, I have evolved it into what I call the Vis dialogue, which is based on very similar principles. And then I have evolved it for working with serious pathology and chronic illness, and also from a naturopathic perspective. And I've learned how to train practitioners to be able to meet the challenges with their best foot forward because there are challenges when working in the mind. I mean, we can't deny that. The mind is a minefield. Very, very challenging, very complex, and we humans are quite complex. So I have evolved the training to be able to convey what it is that I'm doing in practice to the greatest extent that I can. And those principles of this practice. We'll jump in because you mentioned this, Linda. I'll jump into what makes it so effective. And the answer is, let me say this. If let's say you have an engine and the engine is meant to work on diesel fuel, that diesel fuel will make your engine work the best. I mean, it will only really work with diesel. If you put regular fuel, you won't have a properly functioning engine. So the model of medicine that holistic counseling and the Vis Dialogue use is that who we truly are, our true nature, is unconditionally okay. You're okay. I'm okay. Everybody that I work with is okay. Fundamentally, without any external input. We don't need any degree, any form of education, any amount of money, any relationship. We don't need anything to be okay. We're unconditionally okay. When we begin to believe, and this is where we develop belief systems that are false, that I need this to be okay, whatever this is, I need to be heard, to be listened to have money, to have a beautiful body, whatever it is, we get attached to that idea that without that, I'm not okay. And from there, everything goes downhill. That's where suffering starts from. So the fuel that we ultimately run best on is to know that we are unconditionally okay. And so the Vis Dialogue is based on this very principle that when I'm asking people questions, and that's what the basis of this form, it's just question asking. It's not advice giving. I'll be asking questions to get a person to reflect deeper and deeper until we arrive at that point of conditionality, which is their mind saying, I am not okay unless I have X, Y, or Z, or X, Y, and Z. Could be more than one. And that's why I think it's so effective, because number one, the doctor is not offering advice. There are problems with advice. First of all, the practitioner might mislead somebody. And second of all, even if they're right, it sort of takes the rat away from the cheese in getting to the end of the maze on their own. So they won't be able to find that unto themselves. It's disempowering for a patient. The second thing is that when we give advice, we're taking away from the person that gift of them discovering for themselves. There's nothing like that. That's the most lasting thing. And also, the idea is that the knowledge is not coming from the doctor. This is why I think it's so effective, that each one of us inside of ourselves is okay. And that okayness taps into this field, which science is calling the unified field. There's lots of words for it, which we like to use. I like the word God, because I think that's the collective consciousness that birthed us and that we come from, and is actually the basis of our reality that makes us okay. We're children of God. That's basically it in a nutshell. So by aligning with that idea, we're empowering these energies to work with us, and aligning with these simple facts that who we are is unconditionally okay, and we can be at peace and relax inside. And when we relax, all the stresses that lead to the physical pathology and mental emotional issues, they also relax. They can clear when we feel and know that we're okay. So that's the basis of this model of healing.
Wow. Okay. I am loving that. And as I've been taking notes, there are a few things that stand out to me that make me so excited. And one of
Yes,
them is this is very empowering. This is not, I am going to fix you. This is basically, I am going to wake up what is already inside of you, that you are already okay. That
exactly.
I don't have to change you and mold you and whatever. You are okay. And it
And there's nothing
feels,
I can give you. There's nothing I can give you that is not inherently part of you already. Right? That's right.
okay. I need some clarification on that one. Nothing you
Please,
can give me that I don't already have. Are we
inside
talking
of
about
yourself.
inside of myself?
Yes.
Okay.
So the healing, yeah, one of the principles of naturopathic medicine is to work in harmony with the healing power of nature. So the healing and power of nature exists in each side of inside of each of us. A simple example is you cut your skin and then the skin heals. You don't have to like go to the doctor to get your skin to heal. When there's serious pathology blocking wound healing, then there's something blocking the healing power of nature, and then we need some kind of intervention. Uh, However, the intervention in this model for chronic illness and not for acute illness is different. Acute infections, acute trauma, injuries that require heroic measures, that's different. We're talking about chronic illness, illness that has developed over time. There's nothing that you need externally to heal. There are models of medicine that do work predominantly only with external means, nutritional supplementation, detoxification, drugs, surgical measures. All these things are very external based. But with this model of reality, Linda, the idea is that when we remove what is blocking a person from being inherently okay, the body restores balance from the vital energies being unlocked. And then the natural flow, which is inherent for all of us, is restored. So there's nothing that needs to be done or given to enable this form of healing.
Okay. And I really appreciate that you added that clarification that we're talking about chronic. We're not talking about acute. So if
That's
I
right.
break my arm, I do want to go to a doctor and I want them to set my bone so that it will be straight. Or if
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, just as a simple kind of a thing. Um, I find, and I would love, I don't know why this idea is coming to me, and I would like you to help me understand how it fits in.
Yes.
So having it come from the inside makes total and complete sense. When I feel like all healing comes from a combination of learning and doing. And
Okay.
and I feel like as you're asking questions, the learning is me becoming aware of what it is that's holding me back. And what would my
Yes.
doing be?
Yes. So excellent point. So sometimes the doing is required. Other times it's not. So I have had all the whole spectrum of healing responses from the people I work with, patients slash clients. I call them patients, but not everybody does. Um, so I've experienced within myself and also with the people I work with, spontaneous healing right on the spot where the person recognizes what they're choosing to believe about themselves and about reality. They realize it's not true. They let go. And right before your eyes, you can see them weeping or yawning or burping or some kind of release. The vital energy is being liberated. They might feel flushed or sweat. They could feel dizzy and disoriented. And then they go, wow, I feel so much better. So there's no doing involved in that level. However, for the healing to be true, doing is absolutely required. Doing is the final stamp of approval. I mean, it's not, that's an expression, right? Of the person's, it's a testament to the fact that they are well. So let's say my false belief system is I'm not good enough.
That's a common.
And then in the chair, Dr. Moshe or whoever is certified in the Vis Dialogue asks the questions and gets the person to be aware. You know what? It's not true that I'm not good enough. And I understand why I chose to believe that. And I no longer choose to believe that. And I choose to let it go. Hallelujah. And I feel free and I feel liberated. And then they go home and the person who's maybe a little bit emotionally abusive is a little in a bad mood. And then they get all scared and they go into a shell and then they're not acting as if they're good enough again. So that's not a full healing. The doing has to be a reflection of the awareness. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
Um, So a true healing would be, the person who tends to be verbally abusive. Maybe they're drinking, or maybe they had a bad day at the office and they're being abusive. And that person goes, "Oh, hang on a sec. No, I'm okay as I am. I'm not going to let how they're acting alter who I am and my perception and my action. So I'm just going to act how I choose to act, regardless of how they act." And yeah, so that would be a full healing, that the action, the doing matches the awareness and the healing. Yes.
Okay, I love every single thing that you said. And I want to clarify that to me, some of the doing is the very choosing. That choosing is my action, that it's not necessarily something that is physical, but
Right.
it is my participation,
Yes.
my buy-in, my is there another word that's better for
My
it's
intention, my application of will.
right. So to me,
Absolutely.
choosing is doing. Like you
That,
can't fix me unless I agree to the healing.
right.
Does that make sense?
You can lead a horse to water, but the horse has to drink. And it's the same with healing. And yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that. I think that, if you haven't gathered yet, in my awareness, what I feel is the root cause of all chronic illness, it begins in the mind. It's about the perception of reality, and it's about believing false things. So your application of doing through choosing is the first and most important step that results in healing. And all I'm saying is that in order for that to be a real healing, the doing, the action has to be a reflection of that. If there is a subsequent, like an action that corresponds to that belief, right? So if I'm not good enough, it means me acting like I am good enough, or I am okay, or I'm fine just as I am, not choosing that false belief. But if it's just like an internal relationship with yourself that you're choosing to change through your use of choice, then yeah, that's doing. I get what you're saying. It's cool.
Okay. I
Yeah.
love this. So I'm going to take what we've just been talking about and put it back into your analogy of all roads lead to Rome. So let's say I'm not good enough because that is a very, very common one. So that is my Rome. And in order for my interpretation of the learning and doing is first, I need to learn that that is my issue. And then
Yes.
my doing would be, and I choose to let this go. And then from there, now the roads are going to go out. And if I really did buy into this change, it will reflect in my actions. It will reflect,
Exactly.
and it needs to continue through that. And I think that might be a good indicator of, do I need some more work? Because if I'm not behaving differently, I probably need to go back to Rome and see if there's anything else that needs to be cleaned.
Exactly. Very good. I agree 100%. And those things, like, it's common. Yeah. So first of all, it's the most common belief is I am not good enough. It's very common in our culture. And then we learn about it, but then it's an old habitual pattern to believe that. So I learn it intellectually before the whole emotional field and the vital force moves. Now, some people can do that all in one shot. Like I had a spontaneous healing where when I learned it, I let it all go in one fell swoop, and I had a spontaneous healing of this autoimmune disease, and I was well. I was well essentially. It was healing. But then if I go in life and I'm struggling, I lost it. I knew it, but now I don't feel it. And I feel stuck. Then we go back and we've already done a lot towards the person's healing, but now it's time to identify what else is sticking to this point. And I call these tendrils. So there's all kinds of different kinds of tendril. There's tendrils of anger and fear and grief. One example that I give is that I'm not good enough and I want to let that go. But the people that treated me like I wasn't good enough, they weren't there for me. And I learned it from the way they were with me, are my parents, let's say, or my mom or my dad. And I'm really pissed at them. And so if I let go and I say I am good enough, well, then I am by I'm tacitly agreeing that it's okay. It's all good. Let water flow under the bridge, and there's a form of acceptance and forgiveness there. But I'm mad at my parents. I don't want to let that go. So the anger is holding the belief in place because it doesn't want to let go. This is a strong example that holds a lot of people back. Another common form of a tendril is people are used to the pattern and they're afraid of the unknown. So very often, I don't work with a lot of people in their teens. That's a difficult demographic to work with on this. It's possible, very possible, but teens are in a little bit of like a, fight the power kind of thing. So they're not really at that point yet where they're going, I could use some healing. When a person gets to that point, they say, I could use some healing. They have a few decades in their pocket, and there's a lot of habitual patterns there. So the person that has a habitual pattern of this belief system, so they might not want to let go out of the habitual nature of it. It's familiar to them, and so there's this step that most people have to take into the unknown. I'm letting go of something that I'm so used to. And I thought that was true and all truth, but there's something else. And what is it? I don't know. So the person has to be willing to take that step into the unknown. That's another example of a block to the moving past the false belief.
Isn't that just a fascinating kind of paradox where it would be so nice if we could start on the right foot and just have the truth be at our core, be our Rome, and that we just carry it on forever. And yet it usually doesn't work that way because we are mortal and we are raised by mortals who are imperfect, even if they do their best.
Yeah.
And then in our youth and as a teen, when things are still kind of malleable and forming, we're not ready. And by the
Yes.
time we are ready to admit, I could use some healing, that when we get to that point, we do have habits and patterns that have lasted for decades. It, it,
Yes.
it kind of creates a little bit of a catch-22. And yet somehow we need to get to the point where we recognize, you know what I'm doing is a little off. I could use some healing. And
Yes.
and then when we're to that point, when we agree, when we buy in, then the magic and the miracles can flow.
Absolutely. You're right. It is a bit of a catch-22. And I'll tell you something. So most of these beliefs are centered around the core statement of that. Remember, I was telling you about that unconditional okayness? The statement of that okayness, in my awareness, is as simple as I am. That means I am, I exist, I live. If you want to get a little bit biblical, when Moses asked the name of God at the burning bush,
I am.
God says, I am that I am. So God, the statement of being and the actual nature of being is all powerful. And that is the substrata that we fall into when we let go of the conditionality of our false beliefs. So I want to just point something out, and this is something that I've arrived at. I believe that it's true, is that when we say I am mortal, I wouldn't say that because I am not mortal. I am in a mortal body. There's a difference. I am in essence immortal. Like my true nature lives forever. There is death of the body, say, and but then there's me living on, right? So I just wanted to say that. Thank you for your sweet smile about that.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And I think having
Yes.
that perspective matters, that
Yes.
we are important. We existed and we will continue to exist. We
Yes.
have there's something about us. We are divine. And I
Yes.
think when we recognize that, and I love that you pulled in the I am that I am,
Yes.
because that seems so simple, and yet it can take a lifetime to figure out what in the heck are you talking about? That you
Or
didn't even complete
lifetimes.
the sentence.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely, absolutely. And we're very special, and that state for us is an eternal state. There is no way for beingness to not be. It's impossible for that which is to not be. It's an absolute impossibility. But we can form a lot of dark energies of thought around that and forget. We can. We do that. We do that. And that's what gets us in trouble. And those things that are lined up like a tee shot in golf, we're teed up for illness are the issues that we've come in this present life, in this present moment, are the false beliefs that we have to look at are the ones that will coalesce into the illness. So those are the most important messengers for us, the present illness or the present physical suffering or mental, emotional suffering, because that shows us that right now on our plate of our evolution to who we really are, the I am, that is popping up. That's the thing that is causing us to suffer. So illness is an opportunity rather than a thing to be like gotten rid of. It's an opportunity to understand ourselves, what we're believing that's false about ourselves.
Isn't that an interesting and unique perspective? Where instead of giving the being upset that I am sick, that I'm dealing with an issue, it is I'm receiving a message. This is a
Yes,
message. So
exactly.
if I can read and decode this message, then not only can I heal from whatever issue I'm dealing with, but in the process of it, I can learn some more about myself, and I'm able to get back into that okayness that I am.
That's
So
right.
yes.
Exactly.
Mm.
Well said. Your synthesis of that is so well said. It's so beautifully said. And that is very important to recognize. I have a lot of my patients come to me and say, "Doctor, get rid of this illness for me. I hate this. I feel so bad." And then given a certain amount of time, it's different for everyone. I'll hear them say things like, "I've learned so much from this illness." And that's a totally different place to be in. Even yeah. So it's a very good perspective to have when we are dealing with illness, because it is hard. It is hard to deal with illness. It's not like we're having a walk in the park, right? And
No,
skipping to you know, the beat of whatever. But yeah, it's hard. So, but having that perspective, it makes the difference between what's wrong with me, what's going on. This is terrible. And all right, this is hard when I'm going through, but what does it mean for me? And how can I grow through this? How can I let go? So it's a big difference.
very much so. That's fascinating. Okay, we're almost ready to close, but I just want to read
Sure,
just a couple of the testimonials that I saw on your website, because as we're
sure,
having this conversation, and for many people, it's going to be like uh, very foreign to their current way of thinking. So
sure.
the answer or the next step is, does it work? I mean, does this make any difference? So here's what some of the things reviews are. One session is like 10 plus years of therapy. Another one was, what just happened? Another one is, I wish I'd known about this 20 years ago. And another is, wow, that was deep. And so I love things that work. And I think that's what we're searching for, is we're searching for something that works, something that makes a
Yeah,
difference, something that makes us feel whole, complete, and okay.
absolutely. I say to my practitioners that I train that holistic counseling is like pizza. Even when it's not that great, it's still pretty good. So, so So like I've been doing this for 25 years, and I also have people that I've trained. The sessions are life-changing. They really are. And how life-changing depends on the practitioner, depends on where the person is, but definitely there are those kinds of reactions to the sessions. So thank you very much for sharing that, Linda. I appreciate that.
That was fantastic. Is there anything else you want to make sure we cover before we close today?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can contact me, as you mentioned at the beginning. Doctor is DR minus sign, like dash, Moshe, MOSHE.com. And then I also have that's for you can contact me even if you want to train with me through that. But I also have the website for the training, holistic without a W, dash again, counseling with one L, .ca. And that's my training site. That's the program, the full year training certification program that people could get on board. We have a new cohort starting in March.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. I'll make sure to include both of those links in the show notes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Pema Chodron. She said, "Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know." Today, I invite our listeners to become aware of our belief patterns and how they're affecting us. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for tuning in to Linda's Corner podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends to help us inspire even more listeners. Be sure to visit hopeforhealingfoundation.org for free and affordable resources to help you overcome life's challenges. And explore healingbreathworkdetox.com, where you'll find transformative tools for deep inner healing and lasting change. Also, don't forget to check out my books, Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, and You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. Your journey to hope, healing, and happiness starts here.